Joining me live is Robyn, Ironside aviation writer at The Australian. Great to have you on the program. Robyn, you wrote this story this morning, a bit of a battle between the two major carriers for this.
Yes, it's interesting to see just how valuable those seats into Bali are considered by the airlines. It's an incredibly popular overseas holiday destination with Australians, and currently 8 airlines operate flights between Australia and Indonesia, which suggests just how in demand they are. So I guess Jetstar and Virgin Australia, they know that they'll fill those seats when they come online, and both of them desperately want them.
Who will win out, do you think, Robyn, and what do you think will be the big factors here?
Well, they've both put their, I guess, final arguments to the International Air Services Commission, which makes the decision as to who can have what seats in and out of Australia. Jetstar's argument is based on the fact it's already a very popular airline among Australians to Bali. It carries the lion's share of passengers into Bali, and it also offers the most competitive fares, Jetstar says. It says the most of its fares are between 14% and 68% lower than other airlines operating into Bali. So they think that's a good reason for them to get the seats. Virgin Australia, on the other hand, says because they don't have as much capacity going into Bali as the Qantas group, which includes Jetstar, they should get the seats. They would operate flights from the Gold Coast to Perth on to Denpasar, and also from Adelaide to Perth on to Denpasar. Virgin Australia is also arguing that they employ Australian crews, which I'm sure could be a bit of a sore point for Qantas and Jetstar. Virgin Australia's submission says that Jetstar and Qantas source crews from other ports overseas, whereas all of their crews are Australian, and they would provide more Australian jobs if they get the seats.
So, Robyn, you were saying there Gold Coast to Perth, then Denpasar. Would that actually be the route?
That would be the route, because these seats, they have to come from a secondary port. So the airlines can't schedule more flights from Perth, Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne to Denpasar. They have to come from a secondary port. So I guess they get around that by saying, well, we'll fly from the Gold Coast to Perth and then on to Denpasar, and Adelaide to Perth on to Denpasar. Jetstar, on the other hand, is looking at doing flights from Cairns to Melbourne and then Denpasar, as well as a flight from Adelaide, Perth and Denpasar. So, yeah, that's an interesting route, Cairns, Melbourne, Denpasar. I think you'd have to really want to go to Bali to fly. Yes, to fly to Denpasar via Melbourne from Cairns, that's quite a route.
Yeah, I think I don't know if there'll be many people keen to do that. Do you think there's a problem too with the regulations on this? If they've got to go out a secondary port, maybe the association's got to have a look at their rules a bit.
Yeah, it's just the way the bilateral air services agreements are drawn up, and I guess they've only got so much capacity available for the major airports, and they like to give, I guess, other regional airports a chance to share in the spoils, so to speak. So to give Cairns and Gold Coast that opportunity to also have flights to Bali. Virgin does do a direct flight from the Gold Coast to Bali. That started last year. And so this would, I guess, in some ways be a second flight for them from the Gold Coast to Bali, albeit via Perth.
We'll wait and see what the regulator says and whether people will take that roundabout trip, Robyn. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you.